Welcome to the final video in our online learning PD series, where we're having a virtual book study of the book, The Distance Learning Playbook. Your copy should have already been delivered, and this is your copy, so if there are pages in there that ask you to kind of reflect and almost like a study guide, feel free to write in them or make a copy and write on those if you so choose, but it is your book. So in this virtual book study, we pulled our favorite parts from the book as well as from webinars regarding these modules, and we have combined some of them and some got their own. This one is Module 8, which is feedback, assessment, and grading. Before that, our Module 1 was take care of yourself, and part of that is having gratitude. So a quick gratitude check. Who was the last person who helped you? What did it feel like? Who helped? And what was helpful about it? And now we go on to Module 8, which is feedback, assessment, and we're not going to touch so much on grading, but first, and this was in an earlier module as well, these 3 feedback questions that all of our learners should be asking, and that the feedback that we give them or that they give each other should be answering. So where am I going? And that talks through goals or our learning target. Where will I go next? So the action that I need to take, whether that means that I've already achieved that goal, what's my next step? Or I didn't achieve that goal or that learning target, what do I need to focus on? And then how will I go next? And that measures the progress, so the speed at which, as well as if I'm having to go back and relearn a lot or just a little, and just kind of practice. So those, again, those are the questions that feedback should answer for students, and that's the feedback that we give our students as teachers, as well as peer feedback. So this was an interesting tool that came from the book. It is a self-assessment. So say, for example, you finished a unit of study about main idea, and you give some sort of assessment about that main idea, that concept. A student who has already taken it and has already been scored, they could look at that assessment and then kind of develop 4 quadrants. So on the left-hand side are the things that they got right, but they separate it into the strengths, which are the complex tasks they got right, and then what was just achieved, an easy task I got right. Versus these are the things that they got wrong, but there's a difference between the to be achieved, which is complex tasks that I got wrong, what are the next steps, versus just a gap, an easy task I got wrong. And that could be because I need to practice something or I made a silly mistake or error and I need to go a little slower and reread. So I liked these 4 quadrants as another way of having that mastery-oriented feedback, which we talk through with our Universal Design for Learning and our checkpoints. But again, it's that time for the student reflection, the student to be able to look at their learning trajectory and see, have they met the goal? If so, great, and that's on this side, that their strengths and what they've achieved. And if they have not yet met that goal, what do they still need to be achieved or still need to achieve, and what gaps are present? And just as a reminder, we're thinking through tools and techniques to use it at a distance, but what are the tools and techniques that we use to provide feedback to students already? And how can we adapt those best practices now thinking about them at a distance? So when it comes to that, the formative evaluation tools that the teacher and the student can use to make decisions, we want them to be ones that help determine what has been learned and then what needs to still be untangled or clarified. That could be, we've always used exit slips. Well, now they're just virtual exit slips within a Padlet, a chat, a discussion board on Seesaw. We've always done retellings or having the student kind of retell either a portion of a story or retell in a text reconstruction sort of situation, a piece of informational text. Well, now they're virtual retellings on Seesaw or Flipgrid or using the Canvas Studio. We've always had checking for understanding questions. Well, now they can just be polls. So in Poll Everywhere or on a Zoom meeting, you can have a poll within a Zoom. There's also Google Forms, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then collaborative whiteboards. So either within Zoom or a Google Jamboard. When it comes to more summative assessments, as opposed to more formative, we want to make use of the text matching software for essays if they're available to you. Proctor, you can practice or try proctoring shorter exams or tests live. And this is the example here where the teacher is actually watching the students as they do a math assessment. You can see that they have their phones out using them as calculators. Obviously, they can't use their iPad, both for a Google Meet or a Zoom and a calculator at the same time, it'll hide their camera if the Google Meet or the Zoom is not the active app. But just that idea that shorter exams, you can still be on there live with your whole class, have them muted. They won't be able to see each other's answers. It's at a distance, but you're being able to kind of monitor and proctor how they're going. You can also make the use of before I do that, instead of proctoring shorter exams on a Zoom or a Google Meet, you could also use ClassKick, which is an app that allows you to see what your students are doing on a device. It's a little limiting in that it has to be either a blank whiteboard or a PDF, but that PDF can be multiple pages and they can zoom in and actually write on the devices, and you can see in real time all of your students' devices, as well as kind of hop in onto their device or whiteboard and you can write your own things or give tips. And then the last is making use of self-grading quiz platforms, whether that's on Canvas or Google Forms. There's a lot of things out there, but those are the two that we've heard the most of. So making use of those self-grading quiz platforms, not only does it make it easier for you as a teacher, you don't have to go back and grade it, but it gives the learner immediate feedback as to what they've already achieved or what gaps they have. And that's it. All of these are housed on Sanger Learns. This video, as well as all of the other videos, are on the teacher and staff page. So click teachers and staff. And then there is an icon called the Sanger Unified Online Learning PD series. And the slides are not there, except for the module 2, which is Online Learning 2.0. And that was a longer one. It's about it was a Google Meet that we recorded between about 45 minutes. And then we have these. These are all the videos. So the first 3 covered modules 3, 4, and 5. Then we went to module 6, jumped to 7 and 8, or 7 and 9. And this is module 8, and it'll be right here once I'm done and push stop. So thank you very much. Yeah, thanks for joining us on this virtual book club of the Distance Learning Playbook. See ya.